Hello everybody, welcome back to another Bleach 5e update. This update coming to you guys about a week later than I anticipated. I want to get these videos out on the first Sunday of each month, but some things take longer than anticipated. So for those who were part of the Discord for the book, I did put up a poll if you guys wanted all the reworked armaments at the same time or in parts or as they finished up. I know the poll voted for everyone wanting to wait until they were all ready to go. However, since I'm not working on anything on the book other than the rework, I don't have anything else to give you guys this update. So I am giving you guys half of the armaments that have been finished for you guys to go through and look at and provide feedback. So unfortunately, I am going to have to break that poll of what everyone decided, but otherwise I wouldn't have an update. And I do want to put out an update for the book at least once a month, so didn't want to have to give you guys nothing this time around. So let's go through the changelog of what's different. For this month, as you can see, we have changed holo save DC calculation and reworked acid, blood, dark, defense, earth, fire, gravity, healing, ice, illusion, and keto armaments. So I'm going to make this video fairly quick. I'm not going to go through each individual one in this video. Otherwise, it would be super long. So what I am planning on doing is dedicating like 5 to 10 minute video per reworked armament. And I want to really have each video focus on it, talk about it, and then maybe even show some example builds of it that people can do just to give some people inspiration, or those that don't know really what to do with them, you can just copy the build that I will provide. So I do want to do that. Hopefully I'll have time to do that, but that's what my plans. But before we do that, I do need to mention the YouTube channel, and for you all to please subscribe to it and even like this video if possible. It really helps me out and getting, getting the book out to more people so they're more aware of it, more eyes on it, and that way they can get some more criticism on it and more people, chiming in and letting me know how I can make this book even better. I do get a lot of feedback from you guys on the Discord server. That does help, get some thoughts in my head that weren't really thinking about for it. So I would really appreciate if you guys could subscribe, like the video, maybe ring that bell. That would be pretty great, but I would really appreciate it. Next up, I do also have a Patreon if you guys want to help further support me, even more than just subscribing and liking the video. Patreon here, as you can see, I have a lot of different tiers at different price points for people to get access to a lot of different stuff. Now, hopefully by the time this video is out, I have already updated the Patreon. I have a pretty wacky work schedule, so there's some things I had on it that fortunately can't be able to provide on a consistent schedule, so they've been changed up with some other perks. So by the time you'll see that, maybe a video will come out for that as well. But if you guys want to support me even further and get access to some pretty great benefits, specifically people get access to all the holo stat blocks I make, mainly for DMs to use in their campaign, so they don't have to sit there and make a bunch of stat blocks. I have some already pre-generated that DMs could use, and as well as other stat blocks of characters from the show, such as Fishbone D and others that I'm making that you can get access to for your games that you're playing. I also need to shout out to all the current patrons that are up on the screen. I want to give them a big thank you for helping support me and being part of this community. Thank you guys so much. And with all that, let's move on to the video. All right, so the first one is changing the holo save DC. Now, normally in like the the Dungeons Master's Guide, when making monsters, usually it's like 8 plus the PV and plus the relevant modifier. Now, that's not really a thing here because I don't want to make a specific like each ability state like, oh, it goes off this, it goes off that. I like to just make flat calculations that go across the board. But the one that I had was a little too much. It used to be the holos hit die plus A plus their I think it was plus their PB, and that was way too much. They got really high, so that was definitely a mistake on my part. So I did change it up a bit. Maybe this will be slightly better. So now the holo, whenever holo ability requires a saving throw, the DC is half the holos hit die plus their PB, minimum 12. So that way it some calculations with some monsters that are really low, like, you know, three hit die or something, it'll be obviously have like really low saving DC. So with this, it's going to put it at a minimum 12, and then after that, it'll get higher. So half the hollow hit die plus their PV. So if like their hit die is like 10d8, it'll be half of 10, 5 plus their PV would probably be like 2 or 3. So, you know, 5 plus 3, 8 becomes 12 minimum. I think that'll be slightly better, and then as you know they get stronger, the DC gets better. So I think that's pretty good for now. Let me know what you guys think, if I should change it up, or if you have any other ideas of it. But I think this is a good kind of a band-aid situation for now until I finish the Armament rework, and then I can come back to this. So let me know what you guys think about the new Hollow Save DC in the comments below. Let's go over the rework of the first one, the Acid Armament rework. It's kind of looks different. I wanted to do a lot of different stuff, add pictures on it, which I did have pictures on it, but GM Binder is falling apart right now. It was breaking, nothing was working, it was looking really funky. So I just took out the pictures. So I'll have more about that later on at the end of the video, so stick around for that as well, because I do have an announcement regarding that. But let's look at the Acid Armament rework and the new some new fluff text that I've put together. So, Acid Armament. From within you, a corrosive power manifests, signifying the potency of your soul. Wielders of this power navigate the delicate cycle of life and destruction, a power where the wielder orchestrates the putrefaction of their foes. As the blade is unsheathed, acid drips from it, heralding the arrival of a power that corrodes all in its path. This is something I wanted to have for a lot of the armaments, even since the beginning. I wanted to have some kind of fluff piece and more kind of specific like rules and advice on people making new acid abilities that are outside of this, and that's something I still want to do. But right now I don't really have a lot of time to work on fluff. But that's something you should expect to see moving forward once I'm completely done with all this. So, like I stated in the beginning, I can't go through each armament that got reworked, but I'll just go through just acid for now. So let's go through them. So let's see what acid armor is like now. So acid armor. Also, it was there was a poll also for how to rearrange all of the armament abilities, and everyone voted for having them rearranged by their alphabetically and then by their requirements. So before I had it arranged by their rec amounts, and then at the bottom was the ultimate abilities and the ascendant abilities. So everyone voted to have it all sorted out alphabetically, and then at the end, as you can see, we have ultimate, and then we have ascendant abilities. So those are at the end still for it. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So let's go through the first ability. We got Acid Armor. Requirements: 1 acid ability, 2 SP, bonus action, self, visual somatic weapon, durations until sealed. So your body secretes a layer of acid for the duration. The acid does not harm you. For the duration, you gain the following benefits. You have resistance to fire and poison damage. Any non-magical weapon made of metal or wood that hits you corrodes. After dealing damage, the weapon takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to damage rolls. If this penalty drops to -5, the weapon is destroyed. Non-magical ammunition made of metal or wood that hits you is destroyed after dealing damage. If the weapon is magical, its owner must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failure, it receives a -1 penalty to all damage rolls, but the weapon is not destroyed if the penalty reaches -5 or beyond. If the ammunition that hits you is magical, its owner must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failure, the ammunition is destroyed after dealing damage. Magical weapons with penalties from this ability are removed when your armament is sealed. You take a short rest or long rest, whichever comes first. You may select this ability multiple times, and you get, first one, you're immune to acid damage instead. Oh, that's a change I gotta do. Whoops. You'll see that by the time this video comes out. This thing was some old stuff I forgot to change. Don't worry about that. Increase the saving throw by 1, and the amount of hours it takes for penalties to be removed is doubled. Also, another thing that was part of this I gotta change, so ignore that. Let's move on. We got acid form, 1 SP action cell. Your armament becomes pure acid. While this ability is active, your armament damage type is changed to acid damage. If you have a summon, you may have this ability applied to its weapons as well. You may dismiss this ability as a bonus action, and same thing, you can select it multiple times. You can activate its bonus action instead and then dismiss it at will. no longer requires verbal or somatic components, and when you release, you may activate this ability as a reaction. So this is something new that I added to a lot of the form abilities, is this last point. So whenever you release your weapon, you can activate it as a reaction to help save on action economy, as this is a pretty low level thing that I think I can add it on here like that. A lot of other abilities don't really have that, but that's something I think I wanted to have just to give people the option to activate this ability in case you want to change your damage type or need to if you're up against any foes that are vulnerable or not resistant to your damage that you're doing. Next up, we have Acid Pool. SP cost 4, requires 2 acid abilities, action 30 feet, duration 1 minute. Acid covers ground in a 10-foot radius centered on a point within range and turns it into difficult terrain for the duration. When the acid appears, each creature standing in its area must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d4 acid damage. A creature that enters the area or ends its turn there takes 1d4 acid damage. The damage is increased by 1d4, maximum 5d4 for each augment this ability has. You may select this ability multiple times, increase the range by 10 feet, radius by 10 feet, and duration by 1 minute. This ability no longer requires verbal somatic components, and a creature that enters the area or ends its turn there must also succeed on a dexterity saving throw or fall prone. So that's a new thing here. Slightly different from the previous Acid Pool, but still similar enough. Next up is Acid Rain. 3 acid abilities, 6 SP cost, range 100 feet, concentration up to 1 minute. Acid Rain pours down in a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder centered on a point within range. Each creature that starts their turn in the cylinder takes 46 acid damage. The acid turns the area effect into difficult terrain for the duration. You can select this ability multiple times, which gives you no longer requires concentration, save up on components, and the feet radius and range radius and duration increase. Next up is Acid Shot. 3 SP, 1 acid ability requirement, action 30 feet, duration 1 minute. You target one creature you see with the range and hurl acid at them. They must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failure, they are covered in acid. For the duration, whenever the target takes an action, they are dealt 1d10 acid damage. Selected multiple times, no components, no concentration. So this is something pretty cool I wanted to do. So something pretty unique. Other things have like just straight up damage or overall damage, but this one is like, if they take the action, they're going to take the damage from moving around and getting the acid all over them. So I was a big fan of this. Let me know what you guys think about it. Next up is Acid Spit. 2 acid abilities, SP4, action, self, duration 1 minute. A stream of acid spews from you in a line 30 feet long and 5 feet wide in the direction you choose. Each creature in the line must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be covered in acid for the duration, or until the creature uses its action to scrape or wash the acid off itself or another creature. A creature covered in the acid takes 2d6 acid damage at the start of each of its turns for the duration. Reselect it multiple times, no components, no concentration, increase the damage by 1d4, max 6d4. So as you can see, you're getting an idea of a lot of like dot damage, So that's Acid Rain. Next up is a Caustic Weapon. So similar to the previous one, SP is now 3, casting time 1 action, self, concentration is sealed. Your armament secretes acid, dealing an additional 1d6 acid damage. You may dismiss this ability as a bonus action, reselect it multiple times, activate as a bonus action, dismiss at will, no longer requires components, increase the damage die by 1 step, max d12. On a crit, the target has residual acid on them, taking 1d6 acid damage at the start of each of its turn. On each of its turns, the target can use an action to remove the residual acid, and in the effect, requires 2 augments. So this is going to be some new stuff you see here. So as you can, also for people, there was Caustic Weapon. There's also like Acidic Weapon. I combined the 2 abilities together because they should have just been 1 ability. So they got combined together. And then on here we got crit, for just shorthand. For most people will know what that means. So instead of saying like when you land a critical hit, on a crit, it's a lot better, saves more space, and most people will know what that means. And then this here requires 2 augments. So that means to select this augment, this ability needs to already have 2 other augments. So whether you have like the first one here, if you have the second one, or if you chose this one twice, whatever, this ability, before you select this augment, you need 2 other augments of this ability, and that's for each one, as stated up above, which I'll do a little refresher in a bit. So next up, we have Corrosive Touch. For acid abilities, SP cost 8, concentration up to 2 rounds. You imbue your armament with corrosive acid. For the duration, when your armament deals damage and the target is wearing non-stone, non-magical armor, it takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to the AC it offers. armor reduces to an AC of 10, or a shield that drops to a +1 bonus is destroyed. If the armor shield is magical, the creature makes a con save. Yada yada, same thing. After 3 hours, magical armor shields with penalties from the ability are removed. You may select this ability multiple times. Increases duration by 1 round, increases saving throw by 1, increases amount of hours it takes for the penalty removed by 1. Next up is Putrefaction. Your acid abilities are increased in power. Your armament abilities and keto that deal acid damage ignore resistances. If a creature would be immune to acid damage you deal, it instead takes half damage. This used to be a ascended ability, but it was, I think, not good enough, honestly, to be an ascended ability. This could be a more high level ability, so that's why it's at 4 abilities. So I like this one. I like better where it's at right now, and this is going to apply to every other armament type that has a similar ability like this, with ignoring, if it's immune, it becomes resistant, and if it's resistant, it ignores it. This type of ability. So you'll see that across the board. Next up, we're going into the ultimate abilities. So the first one we have is a corrosive attack. 5 asset abilities requirements. SP costs 8, action, 100 feet range, verbal somatic weapon, concentration. You choose a point within range and unleash a corrosive acid in a 40-foot cube. Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw. Each creature takes 2d6 acid damage on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. Additionally, any creature that failed their saving throw continue to take 2d6 acid damage at the beginning of the turn as long as you maintain concentration. Regardless, if a creature took damage, all creatures in the area that are wielding any non-stone, non-magic weapons, the weapons take a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty. I can't speak. And same thing as you've seen before. They continue to take this, and it keeps training them. Magical objects and fauna within the area that are not attended are allowed a saving throw. On a failed saving throw, they suffer the same effects as a creature that failed the saving throw. Mundane fauna, non-stone objects decay and corrodes away. So this one here is pretty good. It's a pretty powerful dot, and regardless if the creatures took damage, they got acid on them and they start to get some abilities that start to decay. Now this is something new I'm doing with the ultimate abilities, because for like the Zomboctox for example, they break when you use the ultimate abilities, as it's supposed to be a very powerful attack. Thus, some aspect of the ultimates will now be like an auto hit or an auto effect happening, since you are sacrificing a weapon, and that also gives more motivation for players to want to use the ultimate abilities. In my experience, I've only really ever had players like use it when like it's like super dire, like they have 1 HP left, and like, okay, this is it, I have to use it, which is kind of the idea, but I don't really want to have players who wait until they're 1 HP, like if they're like, anywhere from like low HP, in the 10s or whatever, they're like, what, okay, I think I would be fine, but I should just use it now, and not feel too bad, because it's really bad if like I'm going to use my ultimate, make an attack roll, and I miss. Okay, now my weapon's broken. Cool. That sucks, So I wanted to make sure some aspect of these ultimate abilities hit. So that's corrosive attack. Now there's a second one. So each ability will have at least 2 ultimates and 2 ascended abilities. So let's look at the second one. Vitriolize. 5 asset abilities, 8 SP, 1 action, 60 feet, verbal somatic weapon, instantaneous. A thin green ray springs from your pointing finger to a target that you can see within range. The target can be a creature, an object, or a creation of magical force, such as a wall created by a wall of force. A creature targeted by the spell takes 66 plus 40 acid damage. The target is liquefied if this damage leaves it with 0 hit points. A liquefied creature and everything it is wearing and carrying except magic items are reduced to a puddle. The creature can be restored to life only by means of a true resurrection or wish spell. This ability automatically disintegrates a large or smaller non-magical object or a creation of magical force. If the target is huge or larger object or creation of force, this spell disintegrates a 10-foot cube portion of it. A magic item is unaffected by this spell. Well, I should read ability, but I'll change that by the time this comes out. So that's Vitriolize. Very powerful ability, very similar to a lot of different things we see. Like, since I needed this to be a very acidic, corroding thing, I modeled it after Disintegrate, as you can see from the language on it. And as you can see here, they're going to auto take 66 plus 40 acid damage. So really wanted to make these powerful and mean something when you use them and you sacrifice your armament to do so. So let's move on over. So these ones, I'm a big fan of the new ones here. So next up we have Slime Lord, the first ascended ability. 6 acid abilities, 10 SP, 1 action, range self, verbal somatic weapon, 1 minute. You transform your body and equipment into thick, translucent, acidic ooze. You gain the following benefits for a duration. Your creature type is changed to ooze. You gain resistance against acid and poison damage. You are immune to being blinded, deafened, and prone. You are immune to any spell or effect that would alter your form. Whenever you are dealt damage, pieces of you fly out, dealing acid damage equal to the damage you took to all creatures within 5 feet of you. You can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide without squeezing. You gain 2 pseudopods. Each one has a reach of 5 feet, and it can lift a number of pounds equal to your strength score. You can use it to do the following simple task as a bonus action. Lift, drop, hold, push, or pull an object or a creature, open or close a door or container, grapple someone, or make an unarmed strike. Your DM might allow other simple tasks to be added to that list of options. The pseudopods can't wield weapons or shields or do anything that requires manual precision, such as using tools, magic items, or performing the somatic components of Keto. And then you can select this ability multiple times since you get, should be off the top of my head, 3 ascended abilities throughout your leveling. So first one, you're immune to acid and poison damage instead. If you're already immune, whenever you're subjected to the acid or poison damage, you take no damage and instead regain a number of hit points equal to the damage dealt. You are also immune to being charmed, poisoned, and stunned. Your pseudopods can wield weapons or shields and can perform actions that require manual precision, such as using tools or magic items, or performing the somatic components of Keto requires 1 augment. I'm a big fan of this. This was something that was in 3.5 by a class with a similar name, and forgot what else had it, but it basically let you turn into an ooze. And I think, acid was a perfect armament for that, to bring some of this back. So obviously from some of these things, you can see you start to gain the traits of an ooze creature. So I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. This is probably one of my favorite new ascended abilities. So let me know what you guys think about it. But I'm a big fan of it. Another one too that I'm also really a big fan of, honestly, Sphere of Acid. The next ascend ability, 6 ascend abilities, SP10, 1 action, 60 feet, virtual somatic weapon, concentration up to 1 minute. Choose an unoccupied square on the ground you can see within range. You create a 2-foot diameter viscous sphere of acid in that space. The sphere is considered medium and weighs 500 pounds. The sphere disintegrates all organic matter it passes through and all organic matter that passes through it. The sphere can disintegrate 2-inch thick, non-magical metal or stone in 1 round. Anything else that touches the sphere but isn't disintegrated by it takes 66 acid damage. For each square the sphere moves through, it disintegrates 1 cubic feet of material. If the sphere doesn't move, it will start to sink if able. The sphere is stationary until you use a bonus action to move it 15 feet in a direction of your choice. A creature whose space the sphere enters must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be touched by it. If the sphere would enter the space of a creature and fully engulf it, they must succeed on a constitution saving throw. A target takes 66 acid damage on a failed save or half as much damage on a successful one. If a creature begins a turn inside the sphere, they take 36 acid damage and must succeed on a strength saving throw to move through the sphere. The sphere can occupy another creature's space. Whenever the sphere disintegrates a number of cubic feet equal to the diameter times 100, the sphere size category increases by 1, maximum gargantuan. Its diameter increases by 1 foot, the weight doubles, and the damage is increased by 2d6. And then multiple times, the sphere becomes sticky, allowing it to stick to surfaces and freely move up, down, and across vertical surfaces and upside down along ceilings. You can move the sphere 30 feet instead. Additionally, it ignores difficult terrain. If the sphere would fully engulf a creature, they automatically fail the Constitution saving throw. Additionally, when a creature begins a turn inside the sphere, they take 66 acid damage instead. Requires 1 augment. So this is really cool. This is like a big old blob, similar to like a gelatinous cube or any of those other creatures. This big old sphere of acid that you move around the battlefield and get people scared of it, getting near it, getting sucked up by it. As it starts to eat up more of the material around it, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and gets more unwieldy. So I'm a big fan of it. I like it. Hopefully you guys do as well, but that's it for acid. I'm excited for you guys to go through these and let me know what you guys think about all of them. So as I stated, so acid, blood, dark, defense, earth, fire, gravity, healing, ice, illusion, and keto are the ones that have been reworked so far. The other ones are, I'm just about to finish the rest of them, but it's just taking some time putting them into the book. As you can see here, I gotta put in all the code in to do that, which segues over to an announcement. I've been having a lot of problems and trouble with GM Binder. As some of you, if you don't know, GM Binder has been just abandoned by the devs. So there's no work or updates being done on it, and it's starting to show. I've had some people in the Discord, message like, hey, these pages are breaking, things are looking weird, and all I can tell you is refresh the page because there's nothing wrong on my end. It is GM Binder. It's this, the website is falling apart. So I'm at a problem right now where I'm in the middle of a big update and the site is not working, and I'm afraid that this site will just go down or everything will break before I can even put the updates and do everything on there. So I have to think about transitioning to somewhere else, which kind of sucks. I'm gonna hope the site survives long enough for me to finish the rest of the rework so I can put everything on here, and then I'll try to transition out to another site. So that's something I gotta think about doing. So a poll's gonna come out whether I go over to Home Brewery, if I just go to Microsoft Word. I know there's the actual publishing software that people use, when they normally make D&D books or similar like RPG books, that I should probably think about going. But that's a big thing, because then that's a whole new program I gotta learn that I don't know how to do. I know Word. I'm very proficient with Word. I'm actually certified in Word, so I know how to function with Word, and I can do it on Word, even though it sucks, especially when it comes to pictures. Ugh, it's a pain. So I could transition over to Word. There's also Home Brewery that could be a less painful transition because it uses similar code, but a lot of like the different things like hashtags and like asterisks for points, things like that apparently are different. So I could transition over to there as well. The only problem is it doesn't really have a Discover tab like GM Binder does, and what really helped this book take off, really, from what I can see, is having that Discover tab and the book being on the front page for a bit. That definitely helped out a lot. But I know the Home Brewery currently is being actively updated, and a lot of changes are being done to it. I'm just scared of jumping over to a similar thing like that, and then same thing happening where the devs kind of just abandon it, and then I don't hear anything, and then the book, and then I have to transition again. So I'm a little hesitant to transition to the Home Brewery, but I do know it is, as far as I know at the moment, still being active. So I'm probably gonna put a poll up on the Discord for people to take a look at, to vote on where I should go, whether just Word or should I transition over to Home Brewery. So I'll see what people think about that. I'll put it up on there. Maybe I'll just try to learn, but I mean, if I'm learning a new program, like the publishing programs to make these RPG books, I'm not working on the book. And I'd rather just be working on the book and use whatever program is just not a lot to get into or learn to transition over. So unfortunately, some bad news, but that's what's going on, and what took so long, what took longer for me to finish these update. And if it wasn't for that, I probably would have already had everything on here. But wrestling with the, a web page program here that I'm using that's falling apart has been a struggle. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Like I said, if you want to be part of the community, I will link below as well for the Discord server, and I'll post on there as well. And segueing more into the Discord server, feel free to join it if you are a DM and you have any questions on how to run certain things, or have any kind of questions regarding the book. Feel free to put on there. We have separate channels for asking questions for different topics. Find the correct one, post it on there, and I'll reply back pretty fast. I reply back pretty fast. And if you're just a player that wants some help on certain builds, or I'd love to see people get up on the Discord and start discussing certain builds and finding out new stuff to build and create new characters. I'd love to see that as well. So you can hop on there as well to talk about builds or ask advice for builds as well. So that's all I have for you guys this month. If the site stays alive long enough and I finish the rest of these, before the end of the month, you'll probably see another update. Otherwise, you'll see the other one next month. But hopefully I can get the rest of it by the end of this month also, so I can just have it all done before the new year begins, and then I can just start transitioning over at the beginning of the new year. So hopefully I get all that taken care of. Thank you guys so much. As I stated before, subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep up to date with all the updates. Ring the bell, as these are monthly, so I'm sure you might forget about them. That'll help you, get a reminder that a new update's been available. Like the video, that would help me out as well. And if you want to support me even further, I do have the Patreon as well. Thank you guys so much. Let me know what you guys think about the book. Comment below what's your favorite part of it. Let me know what's your favorite new ability and why is it Slime Lord, because I fucking love it. Thank you guys so much. You have a good night, and I'll see you next time.